Hello and good evening and welcome to this week's episode of Suggestions Box, where we take your Overwatch idea suggestions and see if we like them, dislike them, or it needs a little bit more cooking and a little maybe. First one we have this week is suggestion: have Mauga burn crit be reduced by the tank passive the same way headshots are. This way he can be less of a tank buster and have the opportunity to improve his matchup against squishies, like reducing his spread. Interesting. Okay, I think if you're gonna do it for Mauga, you should do it for all the heroes that have headshots. So let's recap this for the people who don't follow Overwatch too closely. The tank passive he's talking about with headshots are that all tanks take 25% less damage from headshots, or critical damage is the true definition. So right now Mauga's burn, when he shoots him with the gun, crits and does the normal double damage, and if he shoots another tank, they're taking the full double damage instead of having a 25% reduction. So this person is suggesting that Mauga should actually do less damage against other tanks that are burning, thanks to that passive that they have, because they obviously reduce damage from all the other headshots, which is interesting. But again, if they do it for Mauga, they should do it for all forced critical hits. So what are forced critical hits in this game? Sombra's virus, while hacked, like a hacked target and shooting a virus, is critical damage based by definition because it does double damage. If anything, tanks should take less damage from hacked virus. We also have Ryan's Earth Shatter up close because it does double damage if you, Earth Shatter them right at the beginning, right? So maybe tanks could take 25% less there. And then Mauga's overrun, like not just his gun, when he slams somebody, when he runs in and stomps on them, it does double damage. That could be reduced by 25% as well. You can tweak that for the tanks to make them more sturdier, but do we need to make other tanks more sturdier? Because right now they did that whole like global mid-season 11 buff. I don't know, but I also am one of the people that like if you do it for one, you should do it for all, to keep it consistent across the board and not have too many individual modifiers, because it gets too convoluted and confusing when certain heroes have an individual thing tweaked for balance rather than just doing that envelope global thing if they're going to go that route. But you know, I don't mind this, so like I'm gonna say yes. This suggestion is for Lifeweaver. Change his dash with 2 charges. The self-healing reduced to 30 HP per dash instead of how much it is right now, like 50. But instead, the second dash, or at least the dash, will also have an additional benefit of giving a 40 healing burst to nearby allies when he lands. Give him an incentive to join the fight instead of just sitting on the platform, and lets him keep up on heals a little while shooting. I don't hate the idea of giving heals dashing into a person, so you have to make that choice, that active choice of whether you want to dash and give them that bonus healing at the expense of your positioning. Like, is it the right call to dash into your teammate and clump up, or is it better to use it for yourself in the back and don't give your teammate that? That being said, don't give them 2 charges, because having 2 charges is too much power, right? You're barely reducing the self-healing while giving 2 charges of 40 healing bursts, 80 total healing, and double dashing for 60 total healing at the end, and you have that extra mobility of a dash to dodge potential abilities. That's too much. Keep it as 1 cooldown. Maybe increase the cooldown if it has an extra benefit like that, but I don't hate it to give them a choice to be into the fight. So I'm gonna put a question mark here, because I like the one aspect of the, giving healing, but no way are you getting 2 charges. We should be able to add tags to our profiles that teammates can see easily. Imagine how much easier it would be to synergize with your ally strengths if you could see learning Wrecking Ball, or learning Doomfist, or Junkrat One Trick. I mean, if this is an opt-in thing, if you really want to tag, sure. I have a feeling this will probably just be boiled down to people flaming you instantly while seeing your tag, or you forget to take off a tag for a game and then you just get like random insults hurled at you before things even start, which will make people not want to opt in, and then their experience will feel like it's more toxic because like of these tags. Instead of a tag like this, it's like learning Wrecking Ball or learning Doomfist or Junkrat One Trick, you can add a tag with your heroes that you play and leave it at that. So if you have a private profile, which is on by default, right? A lot of people don't like that because they like to spy people's profiles on their team to see what they play if they want to work around them. But if they're out of voice and have a private profile, you have no idea what they play, and they pick last second, and you're like, ah, shit, I don't know what to play. So why not just have a hero tag? If I queue support, my tags are Ana, Bap, Kiri, Zen, Illari for that game, and I slide them in. That's what I want, and I'm a private profiler. People can like look in and see my 5 preferred tagged heroes, and they're like, okay, I can work around that because I assume this person probably plays all 5. And if I'm like a Junkrat One Trick, I'll just put a Junkrat tag, I'll queue in, add a voice, no nothing, and people see just Junkrat, they're like, okay, they're just gonna assume I'm playing Junkrat and then leave it at that. You know what I mean? No, none of that one trick stuff, but like, yeah, I like parts of it, but not too much tags. Just simplify it, but the idea is there. Mauga should have the hold to overrun option, just like Orisa and Ryan have the hold to charge and hold to javelin spin. I prefer to hold my ability button down so I have more control over releasing it. Yes, this is a good quality of life change. I have no No qualms about this. I've always felt that Malga's overrun felt clunky to me. Maybe that's why. Suggestion, they should make Lifeweaver grip more like Thresh Lamp from League of Legends. Have him place a flower on a teammate's head on a shorter cooldown, like a small window, I assume, right? And allow the player with the flower to press, interact, and pull themselves towards Lifeweaver, which would put it on the full cooldown. And it allows the enemies to see who has the pull, or I guess the flower over their head, would make it a lot less annoying to be on the receiving end. I actually think that was like a suggestion that a lot of people wanted right when Lifeweaver was released. I can't recall what the devs said why they didn't want to do that. Something player agency, but like I have always felt that the ability should be that way. So like the onus is on the player to decide when to leave versus the Lifeweaver gripping you out at a really bad time. It would be, people are annoyed with Lifeweaver on the team because they get gripped out when they shouldn't be. So I think it's like fine for the Lifeweaver to like tag them with the flower and be like, all right, it's on you, buddy, but at least I gave you the option. So I like this change, and I've always thought this should be the way it is too. So I'm gonna say yes. Counterwatch is not Overwatch. And I think a fair way to handle counter swapping would be to only allow each player to swap once per point. One swap per player per point basically would mean the enemy team could counter swap, but your team would have the opportunity to swap back and vice versa. Adjusting team strategy according to the opposing team is a core part of Overwatch, and I don't even think it's a bad thing, but everyone's had those games where the other team swaps after every fight, and it just feels really bad. Limiting swaps would also incentivize players to focus more on game sense and choose heroes based on maps. I'd like to at least see a quick play hacked or custom game using this idea, because I think I'd bet a large chunk of the player base is really fed up with the constant countering. I'm gonna say no. I think you just simplify it to how it used to be. I think the game has always allowed you to swap. If you want a full lock-in game, like play Apex, play Valorant, I think you just have to like remove the incentive to swap by just like having like a punishment. Like if you're going to try to swap strategically, it should come at a cost, and the cost should be reducing your ultimate charge back to 0. Because as soon as they came out with Overwatch 2, they're like, let's reward it by like retaining 30% ult charge, and they've kind of reduced it slowly back. It's at like 15% right now. I've always said, I agree with SVB because he's been like a proponent of it. Just cut it back to 0 to reduce or to disincentivize it, and that's your expense. Like you're going to be behind an ultimate economy, and I think that's been fine in Overwatch 1, and I think that could have been fine in Overwatch 2. They tested this 30% retention, don't like it, people are still complaining about it. I'm just wondering why they haven't gone back to 0 at this point, and I think that would be the simpler solution. Having a limitation on the swaps I think would also introduce new problems. I can see where you're coming from, where it could be like, you know, swapping once, swapping again as a small strategy for a point, but then like it would feel bad when like you just do that and you just go back to what you were before. They swap once, you swap, and they swap back, and then you're out of your swap, and now you're stuck in a bad spot. But yeah. A suggestion, Symmetra's hidden passives like lifesteal and ammo regeneration from shooting shields should be displayed somewhere in her abilities, either in her primary fire description or as an actual passive ability. It's a good suggestion because I've always asked Overwatch to add an advanced page for all these like minor things, effective range, weapons spread and decimals, like an advanced page. Like I understand why they keep a simple hero page so it doesn't overwhelm casual players. They should always have a secondary one, so you just bake it in the games, and it actually stops people from like leaving and tabbing out of their game and like going on an external website, because it's obviously not available on their main site or anything. Bake it in and then have it be like dynamic as well. Like if they patch and they change the soldier's damage number on the advanced stats page, they should, you know, dynamically update that as well, so people can like, you know, hop in the training range if they haven't played in a year, press F1, hit advance, and be like, okay, my soldier bullet does this. Or Symmetra has these hidden passives on the advanced page. I think on the simple page they can leave it out because it's important, but like not important for first-time Symmetra players on the basic page. But yes, I agree, they should have this somewhere. And for those who have no idea what I'm talking about with the Symmetra passive, what Space Ranger from Overwatch is writing, yes, Symmetra has a lifesteal when you beam any hero that has blue shield health, like Zarya, an enemy Symmetra, Zenyatta. If you beam that, you regenerate a percentage, or you lifesteal percentage of yours back, and you get your ammo back while you beam shields. Winston Bubble, Sigma Shield, Ryan Shield, Ram Shield. You regenerate your ammo when you beam that. And I feel like people are here are gonna be like, what? You can do that? Exactly. Nobody really knows unless you play Symmetra. So add that in, yes. A mode suggestion, role lock mystery heroes with hero eliminations. When you die as a hero, they are eliminated from selection. Once all heroes are eliminated, you stay as that last hero for the rest of the match. That actually sounds like a great custom game mode we could probably cook up. Let me message Cactus Puppy, the community workshopper who makes some fun modes. That sounds pretty cool. Do you mean individually or as a team? Individually, I don't see anybody dying 41 times right now because there's 40 heroes in the game. But collectively as a team, over a long stretch of a game, you could collectively have quite a lot of deaths. And that could, like, eventually near the end of the game lock you into it, and it could be a little chaotic. This is definitely an arcade-only thing, but could be kind of fun. Suggestion, give Hanzo a new ability on reload that adds a heavier tip to his arrow, adding 20 damage so he can headshot 275s and below on a cooldown to one shot. You know, I don't hate it. If you wanted to like make Hanzo like a bit more of a complex character for a rework, if people really like this idea of a rework, you can add multi-tips. A burning tip where like if you like hit them, if you just quickly add the tip on a cooldown and you like hit them in the body, they take a little 10 extra 10-15 damage burning. Really light dynamite, like a few ticks of like Ash's dynamite, which could complement like Mauga getting the burn immediately so he can get the crit, you know? We're adding elements to the game. I kind of like that idea. If you want to like, you know, advance Overwatch and to its next iteration, maybe a slow tip, very brief slow, or a heavy tip where, yeah, if you get bonus damage on the headshot only, you can headshot bigger targets. But again, you have to hit that one headshot, which is, I think, actually kind of balanced because most Hanzo's pretty low headshot accuracy. On average, it's like what, 10 to 15%. That's even kind of high. I'm not actually sure what the best Hanzo's crit percentage is. Go to your hero profile page, chat. Any Hanzo players with maybe like a decent sample size, 50 to 100 hours or more. Check what your actual critical hit accuracy is. I'm assuming it's less than 20%. Because that sounds a little insane. And having a Hanzo like 1 in 5 and then not choosing like the burning tip or frost tip arrow would kind of, you know, be at the expense of you whether you hit that shot or not. Yeah, I don't hate it. I think that's kind of cool. All right, last suggestion of the week, Mercy buff idea. She can now fly to health packs just like teammates. Thoughts? I like that. I think it's the worst when Mercy can't fly anywhere because there's no teammates because everybody died, and like having a health pack as an option would be kind of cool. And she could fly and quickly get healing, or if the health pack is not there, it's at least a target to kind of like mess around with your GA. I don't hate it because Mercy's kind of in an ass spot, and this would kind of be like a cool dynamic way to buffer without like buffing broad numbers. It's like a gameplay decision whether the health pack is there. It's a positional choice, and sometimes health packs are a hot contested zone, so you have to make that risk whether that healing is worth it or you die right away. Yeah, you know, I like that. All right, that's it for this week's suggestions. Thanks for yours. Add some more in the comments. See you next week.